All right, everyone. Now we have another interesting topic, a case study from DP World. So this is how they do the business process redesign, and we will discuss what's all about this topic is. Okay, so let's start it. So before we dive into the details of DPU World cases, I want to set the stage with these two big picture questions, okay? Um, First of all, first objectives will be how can the business process redesign, or just call it short, BPR, and the system integration through the middleware eliminate the operational inefficiencies and improve customer service. Okay, so imagine a company that has grown so fast that its different departments are not talking to each other anymore, and they are using old school paper and doing the same work twice. So the BPR here, this is about the redesigning the way the work flows. So basically, throwing out the old way of doing things and building a smarter path. Okay, this kind of things. Okay, and then the middleware here is about the universal translator. It's a piece of software that helps different older computer systems to finally understand each other so the information flows smoothly. And the goal is to, by fixing these internal pipes, the company will save time and the customer doesn't have to wait as long as for their cargo. Okay. And then the second objectives of this study case, the big picture of this study case is to moving from old school to high technology. Okay. Um, how does the strategic combination of AI, of Internet of Things, and blockchain transform the supply chain into a smarter, more transparent, and secure network? Okay, so you know artificial intelligence, right? This is a smart computers to look at massive amounts of data to find the best way to stack the containers, or maybe answering customer questions with the chatbots. And the Internet of Things here is to put a sensors, whether it's on a truck or even in containers, so that we know exactly where they are and even what the temperature is inside in real time. Okay, that was the IoT, the Internet of Things. And then the blockchain is, it's like creating a digital logbook that cannot be tampered with. And this makes sure that everyone knows exactly where a product came from. And will helps stop things like illegal trade kind of things. Okay. So by the end of these sessions, you should be able to see how a giant company like a DP World uses these tools to move from being a simple port operator to a high-tech global trade enabler. Okay? Okay, shall we start with the first slide to see what the DP World actually look like on the ground? Okay? So these are the articles about the business process redesign at DP World. You can read it first, and before and after that, we can explore and analysis more. Okay. All right. So a business process redesign at DP World. Okay, let's discuss and explore and analyze this case together, okay? All right, everyone, let's take a look at this first slide first. It gives us a quick introduction to a very important company called DP World, okay? Um, the company overview. Okay, a global logistic. The DP World is the global logistic and port operator. Okay, so this company is a kind of a super manager for huge seaports. They don't just own the ports, they also run the entire operation. When a giant cargo ship full of containers arrived, the DP World is the team that makes sure everything is unloaded, shorted, and ready to be sent out on trucks or trains. And this kind of logistic is just, logistic is just a fancy word for the entire process of moving stuff from point A to B efficiently. Okay, and it already operates in many countries worldwide. Okay, yeah, 40 countries, and this is how this is tell us they are massive. It's already global player, and they are not just managing one port in one city. They have operations in 40 different countries across the globe. And this means they have to deal with different languages, different rules, and different ways of doing business, which is making their job much more complex than a local port operator. And they also manage ports, terminals, and supply chain services. You know ports, right? Port is the big main harbor area. Meanwhile, the terminals is like uh port as a big shopping mall. The terminal is like one specific large store within that mall. Okay, so it's often dedicated to one type of cargo, like a container terminal or an oil terminal kind of things. Okay, and then the supply chain services. This is the extra mile they go. It's not just about the ship being at the dock. It's about managing the whole journey, maybe helping a coffee company get their beans from a farm in the South America and then through the port and onto a truck heading to a roasting factory. They help to manage the entire chain of events. And DP World, they also focus on the efficiency, the innovation, and the global trade support. This is their mission statement in the three words. Yeah, the efficiency. It means that they want to do things fast, cheap, and without mistakes. Every minute a ship sits in a port, it's losing money. So they focus on getting ships in and out as quickly as possible. And then, yeah, the innovation. This means they use new technology like AI, robots, and blockchains. We'll talk about it later to solve the problems. And they don't just keep doing things their old way. And yeah, the global trade supports, yeah, ultimately, their job is to make it easier for countries to buy and sell things from each other. They are the enablers that help the global economy world. Okay, so in a nutshell, this slide tells us about the DP World, that is a huge company, the worldwide company that acts as the brain and the muscle behind some of the world's most important seaports and always trying to do it better and faster to keep global trade moving. Okay, now let's see the before a company fixes its problem. It has to understand what is broken, and these slides show us the old way of doing things at the DP world. Okay, let's go through it step by step. On the left side, the section one, it's manual and paper-based processes. Okay, it's literally a repetitive test. Imagine having to write the same information on 10 different forms over and over again every single day. It's really boring. And when people get bored, they stop paying attention, right? And this is what the repetitive means here. Doing the same thing multiple times when you should only have to do it once. Of course, it's time-consuming operation because everything was on paper. Things moved slowly. You couldn't just click a button to send a document. Someone had to physically walk it to another office or to put it in the envelope. If you've ever had to wait in a long line at a government office to submit a paper form, you know exactly what time consuming it feels like. Okay? And then prone to human error. We are all human. If you have to type or write the same information 10 times, sooner or later you will make a typo, right? And maybe you write the wrong container numbers or misspell the customer's name, kind of things. Yeah. In the port business, a tiny typo can mean that a container ends up in a wrong ship going to the wrong country. So paper is really risky. Okay. And then the section two, it's the document duplication issues. Yes, it's the multiple copies to different departments. Exactly. This is a classic example of the old school bureaucracy. A customer would have to bring 5 copies of the same invoice. They would give it to they would give one to the gate security, one to the finance department, and one to the warehouse, and so on. It's a huge waste of paper and time for the customers, and it will give the delays in processing. If you give a document to Department A, but Department B hasn't got their copy yet, the whole process just, you know, stops, right? The trucks full of goods has to wait at the gate until all the paperwork is in order. In business, time is money, so delays are very expensive. And then unnecessary process duplication. This means different departments were doing the exact same work. The security team might be typing the container number into their log, and then the finance team is typing the exact same number into their log. It's completely wasted effort because the work is being duplicated across the companies, right? And then the section three, the management challenges. The time spent on the operational issues. Yeah, managers are supposed to be thinking about the big picture, how to grow the business, how to beat the competition. But here they were spending all their time putting out little fires. Where is this missing documents? Why is the shipment delayed? They were too busy fixing daily problems to focus on strategy. And then the employee motivation concerns. You know, think about the employees again. If their job is just repetitive paper pushing, they will get bored and unmotivated, and it's hard to feel excited about your job if you're just a paper monkey. So, low motivation means people don't work as hard or they might quit. And then resolving manual task problems. Yeah, this is the result of all the above. Because the system was broken, managers were constantly acting like referees or firefighters. They had to solve arguments about who lost a document or fix mistakes caused by someone writing the wrong number. It was a never ending headache. Okay, so to summarize, the old system was slow, boring, and prone to the workers, frustrating and delayed for the customers, and a massive headache for the managers. It was a lose lose situation for everyone, and this is why they knew they had to change. Okay, so now we're getting to the core theory of our case study. This slide answers the questions: what is business process redesign or BPR? It also gives us a reality check on why it sometimes fail. Okay, let's break it down. Um, Now let's check the definition first. The fundamental rethinking and radical redesign of business process to achieve dramatic improvement in critical measures of performance such as cost, quality, and service and speed. Okay, so the fundamental or the red and radical here, um, these are the most important words here. This is not just about painting the office wall or buying new office chairs. The fundamental means going right back to the basics and asking, why do even why do we even do this test this way? And the radical here means being willing to throw the old rule book out of the window. So it's not a small fix, it's a completely overhaul. And if you notice, it doesn't say a small improvement, it says dramatic improvements. So if improve something by only 10%, that's good. But that's not BPR. BPR aims for 50%, 80%, or even 100% improvement. So they want a massive leap forward, not just a small step in this case. Okay. And then about the cost, the quality, the service, and the speed. These are the four main things every company cares about. The cost, they want to spend less money, right? And then the quality, they want fewer mistakes. The service, they want happier customers. And speed, they want to get things done faster. So yeah, we can conclude that BPR is like taking a car engine completely apart and then redesigning the parts and putting it back together so it goes twice as fast as uses half the fuel. You are not just changing the tires, you are redesigning the engine itself. All right, now let's go on to the next part. Why BPR might fail. Now, we know that BPR is so powerful, but why doesn't every company do it successfully? Well, because it's hard. There are five main reasons how why it fails. Okay, first, the reason is about the lack of management support. Imagine the boss says, "Hey, go redesign the entire company," but and then refuses to give you any money, any extra staff, or any authority to make changes. If the leaders are not 100% behind the project and actively pushing it forward, it will die immediately. People won't take it seriously. Okay? And then the second reason, employee resistance to change. This is human nature. If you've been doing a job the same way for 10 years and someone comes along and says, everything you know is wrong, we are doing it a new way, you might feel scared, right? You might feel angry or defensive. And then you might think, what? Is my job going to disappear? Okay, something like that. And if employees fight the new system, even silently, it can fail. Okay, next one. The next reason why PPR might fail: inadequate technology selection. Sometimes company pick the wrong tool for the job. Maybe they buy cheap software that can handle the workload, or they buy super expensive software that is way too complicated for the employees to use. If the technology doesn't fit the problem, the redesign will also fail. Okay, the next one: poor implementation planning. You can have a great idea, but if you don't have a plan to roll it out, it's useless. It's like deciding to build a house but not ordering the bricks or hiring the workers. You need a step by step plan for how you are going to switch from the old system to the new one without shutting the business down. All right, and then the next um reason why PPR might fail is that the unrealistic expectation. Some managers think that PPR is a magic wand. They think they can snap their fingers and everything will be perfect next week. When they don't see massive result immediately, they panic and pull the plug. BPR takes time. If, and if you expect a miracle overnight, you will be disappointed. Okay, so BPR is about making huge dramatic changes by rethinking everything from scratch. But it's risky because it requires total commitment from the bosses, from the corporation, from the workers, the right tools, the solid plan, and patience. All right, so far we have looked at the problems at the DP world, and we have learned what business process redesign is. Now we will see why DP world needed PPR. Okay, there are five main goals. Okay, reason one: to improve the operational efficiency. Do you remember the manual and paper-based problem? Efficiency is the opposite of that. It means getting the most output with the least amount of wasted input. And think of a kitchen. If a chef has to walk across the room to get every single ingredient, that's inefficient, right? Operational efficiency means organizing the kitchen so everything the chef needs is right there. And DP World wanted to stop wasting efforts and making every action count. Next one, to reduce the processing time. This is very straightforward. Remember the delays caused by sending documents to multiple departments? Yes, that takes time. In the port business, time really is money. If a ship has to wait an extra day because the paperwork is not done, that costs thousands of dollars. And reducing processing time means getting the ship unloaded, cleared, and back out to sea as fast as possible. They wanted to go from slow to lightning fast. Okay. And then the next reason is to increase the customer satisfaction. So, who are the customers here? Of course, it's the shipping companies, the trucking companies, the importers and exporters, right? And imagine if you are the customer, you have to bring 5 copies of the same document. You have to wait in long lines, and your cargo is always delayed. Do you think you're happy? No. You would take your business to another port if you could, right? And DP World know if they made the progress simpler and faster, the customers would be happier and would coming back. Okay? So happy customers means more business. All right. The next reason, improve coordination between the department. Yeah, this is about breaking down the silos. A silo is when each department, like finance, security, and corporations, work in its own little bubble and doesn't talk to each other. In the old system, one department didn't know what the other was doing, which caused duplication. They wanted to move from every department for itself to all departments working as one team. Good coordination means the left hand know what the right hand is doing, something like that. And then the next reason is to stay competitive in the global market. This is the big picture reason. DP World doesn't just compete with the port in the next city. They compete with ports all over the world. If a shipping company has a choice between using a slow, paper-heavy port in one country and a fast, high-tech port in another, where will they go? They will go to the high-tech port, right? So DP World needed to change just to keep up with the other modern ports. If they stood still, the world would move on without them. And BPR was not just about being better, it was about surviving and staying relevant in the global market. So DP World needed BPR to fix their internal problem, like slowness and the poor teamwork, so they could achieve their external goals, like happy customers and strong positions in the global market. Okay, so now we get to the exciting part, the solutions. We've discussed the problems and the theory. Now let's look at the actual technology that DP World used to fix those problems. And these slides, we will focus on the first major solutions. It's called the IBM Web Spur MQ, and this is the middleware technology implementation. And before we dive in, let's understand that big word, the middleware. So middleware here is a digital translator or a universal adapter. You know you need a universal power adapter to plug your American phone charger into a European wall socket, right? So middleware does the same thing for the software. It allows a different computer system that don't naturally speak the same language to talk to each other. And the main solution is to centralize document system, okay, by sending the validated documents to all the departments. This is the heart of the solution. In the old days, a customer would bring a paper documents to Department A. Department A would look at it and then stamp it and then file it. And then the customer had to take another copy to the Department B. But with the new system, the customer submits the document once into the computer, and the IBM's Web SPR MQ middleware acts like a smart postman. It takes that single approved document and delivered an electronic copy instantly to Department A, Department B, Department C, and anyone else who needs it, all at the same time, okay, in real time, okay? And it also eliminates the duplication, yeah, eliminates duplication for the customer because they don't have to make photocopies anymore. And it also eliminates duplication for the employees. Like, for example, Department P doesn't have to retype the data that the Department A already typed, kind of things. So one person enters it once and everyone shares it, okay? So the key benefit of this middleware technology implementation is, of course, it's flexible. It could adapt to different situations and different types of documents, and also it's robust. It was strong and reliable, even it would not crash easily, and also scalable. This is a big one for a growing company. And the scalable means that a DP world gets bigger and handles more containers, the system can grow with them. They don't have to throw it away and buy a new one next year. And then it's also seamlessly and connected to three existing systems. TP World didn't just throw away all their old computers and software. That would be too expensive, right? So instead, the middleware acted like a bridge. They connected their three old systems so they could all work together as one unit. It was a smooth connections, okay, and also seamlessly. And it also reduced process completion time because documents didn't have to be walked from desk to desk, and because data didn't have to be re-entered. Everything just got faster. A process that took days might now take hours. Okay. And simplified overall system architecture. This sounds complicated, but it means they made the messy wiring neat. Okay. Instead of a confusing spaghetti of point-to-point connections between every single department, they created a central hub. Everything goes through the hub, which is much easier to manage. And as the result, the happy customer no longer need to submit multiple copies of the same documents. This is the bottom line. From the customer's perspective, the experience went from frustrating to smooth. They submit their form once and they trust the system to handle the rest. It's a simple win, but it makes a huge difference in how the customers feel about the company. And to summarize, the IBM WebSphere MQ is a smart hub that took one document and shared with everyone instantly. It was reliable, could grow with the company, and connect the old system, and most importantly, made life much more easier for the customer. Okay, so we have just seen how IBM WebSphere MQ helped fix the document problem. But the deeper world didn't just stop there. They realized they needed to change more than just documents. They needed to change how their entire company worked behind the scenes. And that brings us to their second major solution, the Oracle partnership. Okay. So the Oracle partnership is the cloud application or SaaS integration. So, do you know as AAS? This is stands for software as a service. Okay, software as a service. So, um, SaaS is the same for business software. So instead of installing giant programs on their own computers in Dubai, DP World pays Oracle to access these programs over the internet. It's cheaper, it's easier to update, and they can access it from anywhere in the world. And it can include human resources, the procurement, the finance, and the operation. Because Oracle provide a single unified platform that handles four critical parts of the business. Imagine a single app on your phone that manage your bank account, your work schedule, your shopping list, and your emails all at once, right? So by using this software, this integration, we can uh, access this all for critical parts of the business. Okay. So what are the goals? What are the objectives? Of course, to standardize the business process globally. Remember, the deeper world operates in 40 countries, right? And before this, the office in Africa might have done HR, human resource paperwork differently than the office in the Europe. So they need to standardize everything. And standardize here means that making everyone follows the same rule book. It creates a consistency so managers in Dubai can understand reports from anywhere in the world because they all formatted it the same way. And they also create value through the intelligent logistic. And this means that using data and smart technology to make the supply chain better. So instead of just moving boxes, they want to move boxes in the smartest, cheapest, and fastest way possible. And yeah, of course, it's to reduce the cost by having one system instead of many, by automating tasks and making fewer mistakes, they will save money. Yeah, simple as that. And then improve efficiency. Yes, getting more work done in less time with less effort. Okay, we have talked about the Oracle platform that hosts these cool technologies. Now let's zoom in on the first one, the artificial intelligence. Okay, the technologies that integrated into these old technologies. Okay, and this slide shows us exactly how the DP world is using AI right now and how they plan to use it in their future. Okay, so AI driven chatbots for the customer service. Yeah, I believe that you have all used chatbots on websites, right? Instead of just waiting on hold for a human to answer the phone, you type a questions like, where is my container? And then the computer program answers you instantly. This is the chatbot. And deep your world, these chatbots handle simple, repetitive questions from truck drivers and shipping companies. And this frees up human employees to deal with more complicated problems that actually need a human brain. And fleet management optimization. DP World has hundreds of trucks, cranes, and vehicles moving around the port, and AI will help to manage this fleet. You know, imagine a truck drops off a container. Instead of driving back empty, I can look at this schedule and say, hey, go to warehouse 3 right now. There's a container waiting to be picked up, something like that. Okay. And this will save the fuel and time because nothing is driving around empty. And the part 2 is the future potential. Okay. What they want to do next. Optimal storage planning. Okay, so storage here means that how you pack containers into a ship. Yeah, it sounds simple, but it's like a giant 3D game of of Tetris. You have to balance the weight so the ship doesn't tip. You have to make sure the containers going to the next port are on top, so you don't have to unload 100 others of to get to them, right? And AI can calculate the perfect arrangement in seconds, which is impossible for human to do it perfectly. And then the shipyard layout optimization. The shipyard here is the storage area where the containers sit before they are loaded into the trucks or shipped. If you put a container that needs to leave in an hour at the very back of the huge stack, the crane has to move 50 others containers to get to it. AI can plan the layout so that containers that are leaving soon are placed in easy to reach spots. Okay. And then the intelligent robot integration. Okay, so actually DB World doesn't use many physical robots yet now, but they are preparing for it. And imagine a self-driving trucks moving containers around the port, or maybe robotic cranes that unload ships automatically. The AI is the brain that would coordinate all those robots and telling them where to go and what to do without crashing into each other. So yeah, data-driven port operation. This is the big picture goal. It means that every single decision at the port, big or small, is made based on data and analysis, not just the gut feeling or habit. So instead of a manager saying, okay, I think we should open another gate because it looks busy, the AI would say, based on truck arrival data, you need to open another gate in 15 minutes. Okay, so DB World is using AI today as a smart helper for chatbots and truck routing. And in the future, they want AI to be a master planner, figuring out exactly where to put every container, how to load every ship, and eventually how to coordinate a whole army of robots. Now we have covered AI. Now let's look at the second piece of the technology puzzle. It's called the Internet of Technology, or IoT. And this slide is very important because it's not only tells us what IoT is and how they use it, but it also gives us a reality checks on the challenge of implementing it. Okay, let's dive in. First of all, what is IoT? Okay, what is IoT? So, network of physical devices with sensors and connectivity to exchange data. In simple explanation, this is the formal definition. Now let's make it real. You all know what a thing is, right? A truck, container, a crane, and then your smartphone. This is the thing. Now imagine if all those things could talk. And IoT is about taking regular physical objects, sticking a sensor on them, like, yeah, sensors, right? And then connecting them to the internet so they can send us the information. Okay, that is IoT. Now, the application of IoT at DP World. Okay, first of all, to asset location tracking. This is the most basic use. With the massive board, it's easy to lose track of things. IoT sensors act like a GPS tracker, and the managers can look at the screen and see exactly where every single truck, crane, or container is located at the exact moment. No more searching, okay? And IoT also able to check the temperature monitoring. Okay, some goods are very sensitive, like container full of bananas, medicine, or chocolate. If the temperature gets too hot, the banana will rot, right, before they reach the supermarket. So the IoT sensors constantly check the temperature inside the container and send an alert if it gets too warm. The IoT also can do with the humidity monitoring. Okay. Okay. Similarly, some goods like electronics or certain foods need to stay dry. Too much humidity can ruin them. So IoT sensors track the humidity levels to ensure the cargo stays in a perfect condition. And the next one, the delays or damage detection. If a truck hits a huge pothole or gets into an accident, the IoT sensors can feel the sudden jolt or impact. It can immediately send signals saying, "Alert, these containers may have been damaged." And this allows the DP World to inspect it right away, and rather than finding out when the angry customers open it a week later. And all those information, of course, in real time. Okay, all this information, location, temperature, the shocks, is being sent instantly, real time. It's happening now, it's not yesterday. And this allows managers to make quick decisions based on live information. So how about the challenge, the implementation challenge? Now, you know that IoT is so great. Why doesn't everyone do it? Because it's hard, because it's expensive. So there are five main challenge to implement this IoT. First of all, it's high infrastructure cost. Sensors are not free. You need thousands of them, and you need the network to connect them. You need the computers to store the data. And setting all of this costs millions of dollars. It's huge investment. And then the next one is the concern of the data security. If everything is connected to the internet, it means everything can be hacked. Imagine a hacker taking control of the cranes and shutting down the tracking system. It's a massive security risk the company have to protect against. And of course, the network reliability. IoT needs the internet to work. If the Wi-Fi or the cellular network goes down in the port, all those smart devices suddenly become dumb again. You lose visibility. The system is only as reliable as the network connection. Another challenge is the device maintenance. Sensors are physical objects. They can get dirty, they can get wet, they can get run over by trucks, or their batteries are die. So someone has to constantly check and fix these thousands of little devices to make sure they are still working. And yes, the integration complexity. This means making the IoT system talk to all the other computer system in the port, like the Oracle system we discussed. It's technically very difficult to get all these different hardware and software to work together smoothly. So, yeah, IoT gives DB World senses. It lets them see, it lets them to feel and track their assets in real time. But implementing is like performing a very expensive and complicated surgery on the entire board. And the benefits are huge, but the risks and costs are equally huge. Okay, so we have looked at AI, which is the brain, and IoT, which is the senses. Now we are going to look at the third piece of the technology puzzle. It's called a blockchain. Blockchain. This is often called a revolutionary technology, and this slide explains why. Okay, so what is blockchain? A blockchain is a distributed transaction database using encryptions to track the participants and products. Yeah, the definition sounds like robot. Okay, wrote it. So let's translate it into a story. Okay, imagine a shared Google document that tracks the movement of a shipping containers. Now imagine that instead of one company controlling that everyone involved, like DP World, the customer, the trucker, the customs officer, has an identical copy. When someone updates their copy, all the other copies update instantly, and it's distributed. It's not stored on one computer. It's stored on many computers across the world. And the transaction database is the record book of every single event. Okay. For example, container left Dubai and then containers arrived in India and then payment sent, those kind of things. And then encryption. It's look it's locked. Okay, it's locked with super strong math code. So you can just type in a fake record. You have to prove that you are say you are. Okay, once a record is added to the chain, it can never be deleted or changed. It's permanent. So what are the benefits of this game changer technology? Of course, it's to enhance the security because the information is spread across thousands of computers. A hacker cannot just break into one system and change the data. They would have to break into all the computers at the exact same time, which is practically, impossible. It's much safer than a traditional database. And it's end-to-end product automation. This means you can see the entire journey of a product from start to finish. You can track a barrel of oil from the moment it comes out of the ground in Saudi Arabia to the tanker, to the port, to the refinery, and all the way to the gas stations. No more blind spots. Okay. And then it contracts exchange automation. This is often called a smart contract. Imagine a contract that says when the ship arrives at port, the payment is automatically released. The blockchain check for arrival and proof. So the money moves instantly. No invoices, no waiting, no arguing. And this also gives the secure payment. Payments can be built into also the blockchain because the record is permanent and verified. Both the buyers and the sellers know the transaction is legit. It reduces the risk of fraud. And the next one, it's counter-terrorist support. This is a big one for ports. Governments are very worried about the bad actors sneaking weapons or illegal goods inside the shipping containers because blockchain creates a permanent unchangeable records of everyone who touched a container. It creates a chain of custody. So if a security agency sees a gap in the chain or unverified participants, they can flag that container for inspection. It makes much harder for terrorists to exploit the system. And the last one is the illegal trade prevention. Yeah, it's similar to counter-terrorism. This helps to stop smuggling. If the blockchain shows a container left country A carrying grain but arrives in country B full of electronics, that's a red flag. The unchangeable records make it much harder to hide illegal activity. So, blockchain here is like a super secure shared notebook that everyone's trust. It creates a permanent record of the product's journey, automatically handles payments and contract, and makes it incredibly difficult for criminals to fake the documents or hide illegal goods. So it builds trust in a system where the companies don't necessarily trust each other. All right, so we've looked at all the specific technology. Now this is the great summary slides. It takes the theory from your textbook and applies it directly to the DB world case. It shows us the four types of organizational change and gives a real example of each from the company. Okay. First of all, it's the automation, replacing manual documents processing with digital system. You know, automation is the simplest and least scary type of change. You are not changing what you do, you are just changing how you do it. You're taking a manual task and having a machine do it instead. And DP World, this is when they stopped using papers form and started typing data into computers. This is the basic first step. And the second one is the rationalization. This is how the standardizing process across the geographies with the Oracle. Rationalization is the next step. Once you have automated the messy tasks, you realize that everyone is doing things slightly differently. So one office uses Form A, another office uses Form B. So regionalization is about streamlining and standardizing. It's about eliminating the bottleneck and confusion by making everyone follow the same efficient process. And DP World, in this case, they use an Oracle partnership that we have discussed. They use the software to make sure that the human resource and finance process were the same in all 40 countries. And then re-engineering. This is how they complete redesign of the business process using the middleware. Re-engineering here, it means that it's much more like radical than the automation. You are not just speeding up the old way, you are throwing the old way in the trash and then inventing a brand new way. So the DP world in this case, they used the IBM WebSphere MQ solution. They didn't just digitize the old document process. They completely redesigned it so that a document is submitted once and sent to everyone automatically. The process itself changed. And then the paradigm shift. It's the digital transformation with AI, with the IoT and the blockchain. Yeah, so the shift is the biggest, most radical change of all. It doesn't just change a process, it changed the very nature of the business and how it views itself. It changed the company's paradigm, its entire way of thinking. So this is about reimagining the company's identity and its place in the world. And DP World, they adopting AI, IoT, and blockchain, they shifting its paradigm. They are no longer just a port operator that moves boxes. They are transforming into digitized global trade enabler, a technology company that happens to run ports. And this is a fundamental shift in their identity. Yeah, so we learned the theory of the four types of organizational change. Now, it's the real world examples from the DB world is very crucial to understand and just because this is the actual decisions made by the managers. Okay, let's connect the dots. Okay, first of all, the automation. You know that they're using AI driven chatbots instead of human operators for the basic questions, right? Automation is the simplest form of change. You take a manual human task and you give it to the machine to do it faster and cheaper. The process itself doesn't really change. You're just swapping the worker, okay? And in DP world, they changed the old way. The truck driver have a simple questions like, what time does the gate close? Blah 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 blah. And then the automated way, the truck driver can type the same questions into a website or an app. And then the AI chatbots gives the driver answer instantly. Okay, kind of things. And then the rationalization, like yeah, just we have just covered before. They use the IPM middleware so the documents only need to be submitted once instead of multiple times. Okay. And then the paradigm shift. Yeah. So they use a blockchain to completely change how the supply chain is tracked and trusted. The paradigm shift is the big one. This change the very nature of the business is not about doing things better. It's about being a different kind of company. And DP World, they changed the old identity from the company that was moved cargo. The trust was based on the paper contracts and relationship to the new identity by using the blockchain. The DB World is becoming a company that provides trust and visibility. They are not just moving boxes, they are providing an unbreakable and transparent records of where those boxes have been. And this changes their role in the global company. And then when it comes to BPR, the business process redesign, this is the entire project of integrating Oracle Cloud to redesign the human resource finance and operations. So we can say that BPR is the mother of all changes for internal processes. It means taking a whole departments and rethinking them from scratch. It's a radical top to bottom overhaul. So the DP world, they change from where the each of the department had its own system, and now they rip out all the old system and implemented one integrated Oracle Cloud platform. They didn't just update the human resource software. They redesigned how the all these departments work together as a single unit. And we have spent a lot of time looking at the problems, the solutions, and the types of change at the DB world. Now we arrive at the most important questions. So what? What did TP World actually get out of this expensive technology and difficult organizational change? And this slide gives us the answer, okay? The final outcome and the competitive advantage, okay? It's the market differentiation. The technology helps the DB world to stand out from the competitors. Think about market differentiation means it's about being different in a way that customers value. And you know, the DB world in these examples, uh, there are many port operators in the world, and most of them are slow. They use paper and loose documents. But DB World now offers AI tracking, IoT sensors, and blocking security to a shipping company. That's huge difference. If you're a customer with choice between a dumb port and a smart port, you'll choose the smart one, right? So the technology makes DB World the shiny box on the shelf compared to the competitive company. And then the business value. Every technological shift is aimed at adding tangible business value. This is a reality check. Companies don't buy technologies because it's cool or it's fancy. They buy it because it makes them money or save them money. That's tangible business value. Value you can measure and touch. And the DP world, they use the chatbots. Yeah, it's add the value because it answers the customers' questions for free, 24 hours in 7 days. So DP world doesn't have to pay as many as human operators, right? How about the IoT sensor add value? Is it adding value? Yes, because it prevents expensive cargo from spoiling. So the DP world doesn't have to pay insurance claim. And then the last one is the sustainability. Redesign process ensure the company can handle aggressive growth. And this is just not just about going green or saving the trees. The sustainability means that the company can keep growing without breaking. And the DP world in this case, they growing aggressively, handling millions of containers. If they kept the old paper-based system, it will collapse under the weight of all that growth. And there will be lost documents everywhere. There will be an angry customers and yeah, total chaos. But because they redesigned their process middleware with the scalable technologies like IBM's middleware and Oracle's cloud, their system can handle 10% more business next year or even 50% more without pulling apart. The company can grow without limits in this case. Okay, we reached the summary. This is the summary slide. Okay, there are three most important things I want you to remember about DP World's business process redesign. First of all, the identity shift. DP World is transforming from a traditional port operator into a digitized globe trade enabler. This is the most important sentence in the entire presentation. It describes the paradigm shift we talk about. And then the tools and the result. They use the middleware, the AI, the blockchain. They are making the supply chain quicker, more cost effective, and more productive. Yeah, this connects the how to the what. The how is the tools. They use these old tools to connect their systems. The AI gave them a brain so to make a smart decisions, and then the IoT gave them the senses to track everything in real time. Meanwhile, the blockchain gave them the secure, trustworthy record book. And the result, the what. By using these tools, they achieve the three big things: the quicker, the more cost effective, and more productive. And then the lessons for all business. The key is using technology to add the business value and stand out in the market. This is the universal lessons that applies to any company, not just DP World. Technology for the sake of the companies is pointless. A company should never say, "Oh, blockchain is trendy, let's buy some." Instead, they should ask, "How can blockchain help us serve our customers better or to save money?" And DP World in this case, they succeeded because every decisions from the IBM middleware to the Oracle Cloud to the AI chatbots was made with a clear goal to add the value for the customers in terms of the faster service, value for the company itself, lower the cost, and value for the stakeholders, more profit. And by adding that value, they automatically stand out in the market. They become the port operator that everyone wants to use because they are simply better than the competition. All right, that's all the discussion about the study case. And this study case will be the topic in discussion forum. So you may go to the topic and answer some study case questions. Okay? See you in the next interesting study case. Goodbye.